Hello, what's up everyone? Thank you again for staying tuned with us on our weekly podcast channel. So here we're back at it again with your host Adriana. Woo! So, what's the topic for this episode? You must be wondering, right? So, this time I'll be talking about achieving universal primary education here in Malaysia by highlighting the issues on the education plus the efforts to achieve universal primary education in Malaysia for the MDG 2, which is the universal primary education. Well, first and foremost, I want to highlight the primary education in Malaysia. Do you know what are the schools that they have here in Malaysia? Well, here in Malaysia, schools under the Ministry of Education (MOE) are categorized into several types, each serving different segments of the population and offering various educational programs. So here are the main types of school under the Ministry of Education of Malaysia. So, firstly, we have government schools, which is Sekolah Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan for secondary. These schools are fully funded and managed by the government. They follow the national curriculum and cater to students from various backgrounds. Government schools are the most common type of schools in Malaysia. The second one is government-aided school, which is Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah Jenis Kebangsaan for secondary. These schools also receive government funding but may have a special focus, such as religious or vernacular education. They still follow the national curriculum but may offer additional subjects or activities related to their special focus. Next is national type schools, which is Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah Jenis Kebangsaan for secondary. These are vernacular schools that provide education in Chinese or Tamil languages in addition to Malay and English. They serve students from the Chinese and Indian communities respectively. Moving on, we have Islamic schools, which is Sekolah Agama Rakyat for primary and Sekolah Menengah Agama for secondary. These schools provide education with an Islamic focus, including subjects related to Islamic studies and Arabic language. They are open to Muslim students and follow the national curriculum with additional Islamic content. And last, international schools. While not directly under the Ministry of Education, but the international schools in Malaysia must comply with certain regulations set by the ministry. These schools offer foreign curricula such as the International Baccalaureate IB or British curriculum and cater to expatriate and local students seeking an international education. These are the main types of schools under the Ministry of Education in Malaysia, each offering unique educational opportunities and catering to diverse students' needs and preference. So, moving on, what are the syllabus of the education in Malaysia? Well, the education system in Malaysia follows a national curriculum that provides a framework for teaching and learning in schools across the country. The curriculum is designed to promote holistic development and prepare students for further education and the workforce. Here's an overview of the syllabus of education in Malaysia. Firstly, we have primary education, which is for year 1 till year 6. The core subjects are Malay language, English language, mathematics and science. The additional subjects are Islamic education for Muslim students, moral education for non-Muslim students, history, geography, art, music, physical education and health education. The school-based assessment (PBS) continuous assessment conducted by teachers to gauge students' understanding and progress. Second, we have Lower secondary education, which is Form 1 to Form 3. The core subjects are Malay language, English language, mathematics and science. The additional subjects are history, geography, Islamic education for Muslim students, moral education for non-Muslim students, art, music, physical, and health education, technology, and home economics. For the elective subjects, students can choose elective subjects based on their interests and career aspirations. For school-based assessment PBS continues with more emphasis on preparing students for the Form 3 assessment, which is PT3. Moving on for the upper secondary education, Form 4 and Form 5, the core subjects are Malay language, English language, mathematics and science. And for the elective subjects, students choose elective subjects based on their intended field or study career path. They may include additional science subjects such as biology, chemistry, physics, additional mathematics, history, geography, accounting, economics, business studies, Islamic education for Muslim students, and moral education for non-Muslim students, and others. For school-based assessment PBS, it continues with more emphasis on preparing students for the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examination. Moving on for the post-secondary education, after completing secondary education, students may pursue various pathways including Malaysian Matriculation Program, Matrix, a pre-university program for entry into local universities. Next, A-Level, offered by private institutions, preparing students for entry into universities abroad. For International Baccalaureate, IB, offered by international schools, providing a globally recognized pre-university qualification. Vocational and technical education, offered at vocational colleges and institutions, preparing students for careers in technical fields. And for tertiary education, universities and colleges in Malaysia offer undergraduate and postgraduate programs in various disciplines. And last, for technical and vocational education and training, TVET, the programs provide skills-based training and education for students who prefer a more hands-on approaching to learning. These programs offer certifications and qualifications that are recognized by industries and employers. So, the Malaysian education system is periodically reviewed and revised to ensure its relevance and effectiveness in meeting the needs of students and society. Additionally, efforts are made to incorporate digital learning resources and 21st century skills into the curriculum to prepare students for the challenges of the future. So now, do you ever wonder what are the setup of schools here in Malaysia? Well, school setups in Malaysia vary depending on factors such as the type of school, its location, and the facilities available. Here's an overview of common setups for schools in Malaysia. Firstly, for government schools, which is Sekolah Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah for secondary, it's typically large campuses with multiple buildings, classrooms equipped with desks, chairs, whiteboard, and educational resources. Facilities may include science laboratories, computer labs, libraries, sport fields, playgrounds, canteens, and assembly halls. Some schools may have boarding facilities for students from remote areas. Moving on, for government-aided schools, Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah Jenis Kebangsaan for secondary, it is similar to government schools but may have additional facilities or focus areas related to their specializations such as religious education or language instruction. The facilities may vary depending on the specific focus of the school. Moving on to the national type schools, which is Sekolah Jenis Kebangsaan for primary and Sekolah Menengah Jenis Kebangsaan for secondary, the facilities similar to government schools but may have additional resources to support the teaching of Chinese or Tamil languages. Chinese schools may have Chinese cultural elements in their setups, such as Chinese garden or cultural displays. And for Islamic school, the facilities similar to government schools but with additional spaces for Islamic studies, prayer rooms, and facilities for religious rituals. It emphasizes on Islamic culture and values in the school environment. Moving on for religious schools, it is similar to Islamic schools but may have a broader focus on religious education from different faiths. The facilities may include prayer rooms, religious libraries, and spaces for religious ceremonies. Moving on for the special education schools, it is equipped with facilities and resources to support students with disabilities and special needs, such as ramps, elevators, special classroom, therapy rooms, and adaptive equipment. It is trained staff and specialized programs to cater to the diverse needs of students. Moving on to the international schools, it offers modern facilities and resources comparable to international standards. The classroom is equipped with advanced technology, interactive whiteboards, and multimedia resources. The facilities may include science laboratories, computer labs, libraries, art studios, music rooms, sport facilities, swimming pools, cafeterias, and auditoriums. Some international schools offer boarding facilities for students from overseas. Overall, schools in Malaysia strive to provide a conducive learning environment with adequate facilities and resources to support the holistic development of students. The setups may vary depending on factors such as the type of school, its specialization, and the resources available. Have you ever wondered what are the issues on the education in Malaysia? Because not everything will go smoothly, right? So let's dive into this topic. So the education in Malaysia faces several challenges encompassing issues related to availability, budget, syllabus problems, and educators. So here are some of the key issues. In terms of access and equity, while Malaysia has made significant progress in achieving near universal primary education, access to quality education remains a concern, especially in remote and rural areas. Disparities exist in access to educational resources and facilities between urban and rural schools, as well as between different socio-economic groups. Next, regarding quality of education, despite improvements in access, concerns persist regarding the quality of education provided in Malaysian schools. Issues such as outdated teaching methods, rote learning approaches, overcrowded classroom, and insufficient teacher training contribute to challenges in delivering high-quality education. In terms of budgetary constraints, education budgets in Malaysia may not always be sufficient to meet the growing demands of the education system. Limited financial resources may hinder efforts to improve infrastructure, upgrade educational facilities, provide adequate teaching materials, and implement innovative educational initiatives. For syllabus and curriculum issues, the national curriculum in Malaysia has faced criticism for being too exam-oriented and rigid, focusing excessively on content memorization rather than critical thinking and practical skills development. These are calls for curriculum reform to make it more relevant, engaging, and aligned with the needs of rapidly changing global economy. In terms of teacher and quality training, the quality of teaching is a crucial determinant of educational outcomes. However, concerns exist about the recruitment, training, and professional development of teachers in Malaysia. Issues such as teacher shortages, uneven distribution of qualified teachers, inadequate training, and lack of incentives for continuous professional development need to be addressed to improve teacher quality. For educational inequality and inclusivity, Malaysia's diverse population includes various ethnic, linguistic, and socio-economic groups, and ensuring educational equity and inclusivity remains a challenge. Disparities exist in access to educational opportunities and outcomes based on factors such as ethnicity, income level, and geographical location. Efforts are needed to address these disparities and promote inclusive education for all. For language of instruction, Malaysia's multilingual educational system, which includes Malay, English, and various mother tongues, poses challenges in language policy, implementation, and curriculum development. issues such as language proficiency, language switching, and the balance between promoting national unity and preserving cultural diversity need to be navigated effectively. So here's the news from the Sinar Daily. There's no denial that Malaysia is facing a crisis in its education system, said the National Professors Council Education and Human Capital Cluster Secretary Dr. Anwar Ahmad. He highlighted the need to acknowledge that the education system fails to develop competent human capital. The senior lecturer of the Centre for Studies in Learning Diversity at University Kebangsaan Malaysia said the country's education system had many issues. Among them were students deciding not to pursue higher education after sitting for SPM, failing in SPM, dropping out of school, and many students who didn't even finish their secondary school. Can we imagine what the future of our country's education system will be like if we refuse to make new changes and don't want to reform the education system from preschool until university? We will face many challenges and competition from other countries. What will happen to the new generation and the human capital development? What will happen to our generation that are not highly knowledgeable, not competitive, and so on? He questioned. Addressing these challenges requires concerted efforts from policymakers, educators, and communities and stakeholders to ensure that all children in Malaysia have access to quality education that equips them with the knowledge, skills, and competencies needed to thrive in the 21st century. In Malaysia, achieving universal primary education is a priority for the Ministry of Education, and various efforts have been made to ensure access to education for all children. Here are some of the key initiatives and area of focus. Regarding abolishment of school fees, government schools in Malaysia are tuition-free for Malaysian citizens, including primary schools. This policy ensures that financial constraints do not prevent children from attending school. For provision of free textbooks, the MOE provides free textbooks to students in government schools, including primary school. This initiative helps alleviate the financial burden on parents and ensure that all students have access to necessary learning materials. For scholarship programs, the government offers various scholarship programs to support students from low-income families or outstanding students with financial need. These scholarships may cover tuition fees, living expenses, and other educational costs, enabling disadvantaged students to pursue their education. In terms of infrastructure development, the government invests in building and equipping schools, particularly in underserved areas and rural communities, to ensure that all children have access to quality educational facilities. This includes constructing new schools, upgrading existing infrastructure, and providing essential amenities such as classrooms, laboratories, libraries, and playgrounds. While significant progress has been made in promoting universal primary education in Malaysia, several challenges and areas for improvement remain. Well, last but not least, I'll be discussing about what is still need to be addressed by the Ministry of Education. Firstly, addressing disparities in access. Despite efforts to provide free education, disparities in access to quality education persist, particularly among marginalized and vulnerable populations such as indigenous communities, children for low-income families, and those living in remote areas. More targeted intervention and resources are needed to address these disparities and ensure equitable access to education for all children. Secondly, for enhancing quality of education, improving the quality of education is crucial to ensure that all children receive a meaningful and relevant learning experience. This includes updating curriculum and teaching methods, enhancing teachers' training and professional development, and promoting innovative and student-centered approaches to teaching and learning. For supporting teachers, teachers play a central role in the education system, and efforts should be more to recruit, retain, and support qualified and motivated educators. This includes providing adequate training, resources, and support for teachers, as well as addressing issues such as workload, professional development opportunities, and career advancement. And lastly, for promoting inclusive education, while progress has been made in promoting inclusive education for children with disabilities, more efforts are needed to ensure that schools are fully inclusive and accessible to all students. This includes providing appropriate accommodation, support services, and resources to meet the diverse needs of students with disabilities, as well as raising awareness and fostering a culture of acceptance and inclusion within schools and communities. By addressing these challenges and building on existing efforts, the Ministry of Education can further advance the goal of achieving universal primary education in Malaysia and ensure that all children have the opportunity to access quality education and reach their full potential. And so, to conclude, in Malaysia, the primary education blueprint outlines ambitious targets and priorities to ensure universal access to quality education for all children, regardless of their background or circumstances, emphasizing equity, inclusivity, and 21st century skills development. The blueprint seeks to enhance teaching and learning practices, update curriculum and pedagogy, and create inclusive learning environments. Efforts are made to address disparities in access, support students from diverse backgrounds, and promote continuous improvement through monitoring and evaluation. By working toward these goals, Malaysia aims to provide a strong foundation for its future generations, preparing them to succeed in an ever-changing world and contribute to the nation's development and prosperity. Well, our podcasts have come to an end. It was sure exciting talking about our topic for this episode. Do stay tuned with us for the next episodes with your beloved DJ Adriana here. Till then, have a good day. Adios, everyone.